What is up, good people? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to compare two of the most popular VR headsets on the market. The MetaQuest 3, which I've picked up recently, and the MetaQuest 2, which I used to own but no longer do. Which one is right for you? Let's dive in and find out. Before I get into my personal feelings, let's go ahead and just get the specs out of the way. The MetaQuest 3 has a higher resolution of 2064 by 2208, whereas its predecessor, the Quest 2, had a resolution, or I should say has a resolution, of 1832 by 1920 pixels. The Quest 3 also has a faster refresh rate of 120 Hz compared to the MetaQuest 2's 90 Hz. Now, in case you're not familiar with, what that means, that just means that the visuals of games and apps running on both headsets, you're going to see just a slight bit of difference. So far, it hasn't been super noticeable to me, but I haven't really got into the heavy gaming aspects of it either. In terms of performance, the MetaQuest 3 has a more powerful Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 processor, while the Quest 2 has a Generation 1 Snapdragon XR2 processor. So, of course, this means that the MetaQuest 3 can handle more demanding apps and games. And right now, I'd say you're not going to see like a whole lot of games that are built specifically for the 3 because the 2 has such a high install rate. Now, in terms of design and comfort, the Quest 3 absolutely, in my opinion, blows the Quest 2 away. It has a better weight distribution, which is interesting considering it's actually slightly heavier than the 2. And while I wouldn't say it's perfect for long gaming sessions, it's a lot better for it. Now, Quest 2, don't get me wrong, is also comfortable for some people, but the 3 really does take that to the absolutely next level. The Quest 3 has some really cool features like color pass-through, which is amazing if you need to step away and walk through your house because you can actually see everything in full color. And I find that the visuals are a bit sharper, whereas the 2 had it, but only in black and white, and it wasn't quite as crisp. The Quest 3 also has haptic feedback in the controllers, which makes the gaming experience even more immersive. So which headset is best for you? If you want the latest and greatest technology with higher resolution, faster refresh rate, and a more powerful processor, and you have the disposable income for it, then the MetaQuest 3 is the way to go. But if you're on a budget and you just really want to dip your toes into the waters of VR, then the MetaQuest 2 is still a great option, especially considering there are a lot of used ones on the market that can be had for under $150 complete. So yeah, both are a great way to go. Now, I'm actually somewhat surprised at myself that I wanted to jump back into virtual reality. And I say that because my experience with the MetaQuest 2 was not spectacular. To start, the pupil distance setting in it was not terribly robust. I think you had like 3 click settings that you could use to cover that. And if your pupillary distance goes outside of that range it's just you're just kind of out of luck. Whereas with the Quest 3, there's a dial on the bottom that you can adjust it to be exactly as wide or as narrow as you need it to be. Now, secondly, I had to buy prescription lenses to put into the MetaQuest 2 when I had it because it just was not the most comfortable headset for accommodating my glasses. Whereas the MetaQuest 3, it's perfect. I set the headset on my face. It doesn't bump up against my glasses. It doesn't push them into the bridge of my nose really hard. And I can wear my glasses with complete comfort. And I found that with the MetaQuest 2, even though it's slightly lighter than its successor, it's still the weight distribution on it was just so off. And I had bought the Pro headset for it as well with the little adjustable knob in the back. And it really didn't make much of a difference. And what I found happening more often than not, if I tried to play more than 20, 30 minutes, there was just this immense pressure right there on the bridge of my nose, and it just got really uncomfortable. And so a lot of times we end up getting a headache. That's why later on I started referring to it as my $400 headache machine, because that's what I paid for it at the time. And My oldest child, who turns 23 today, shout out to you, Chase, if you're watching this, he had been enjoying virtual reality, and I think he had an older HTC Vive setup, and it required some sort of motion cameras. I don't know what the deal was, but he had to have them set up in the corners of his room to make the dang thing work. So he asked if he could try my Quest 2, and I agreed to let him, and he absolutely loved it. And I said, well, you know what, kid, I don't use it, you seem to like it, it's yours. And he was grateful for that, and I was just grateful to be rid of the headache. Yeah, I could have sold the thing at the time and made a little bit of money, but he's my son, he wanted it, I didn't. Seemed to be the way to go. Well, fast forward about a year, and I was in a local game exchange with one of my best friends one day, and they had a PlayStation VR headset and complete, and they just wanted $100 for it. And it was very much an impulse buy, but I said, okay, let's try this. So I got the PlayStation VR home, hooked it up, and was having a blast. I was surprised. The PlayStation VR, by the way, y'all, don't sleep on PSVR. It's like, yeah, the specs aren't super high end, but it's a great little VR system, especially, if you've happen to have a PlayStation 4 Pro, because I don't believe it works with the 5, which just whatever. And I said, now that I see that VR can actually be a comfortable experience, it kind of got me thinking about the MetaQuest 3. And I started seeing one or two on the secondary market here and there, like used, and most places were asking like an average of $400 for the 128 gigabyte model. And so one day I realized that I had a bunch of doubles of games and some hardware and some accessories just sitting around. So I took them to my local game exchange and traded them in for store credit, and I ended up walking out with about $75 worth. I think you saw my trip in which I got that on a previous video. And I mean, not even a week later, I walked into a different location and saw they had a MetaQuest 3 completely boxed, and they wanted $399 for it, which is $100 less than it retails for brand new. And I had that $75 credit burning a hole in my pocket. I said, what the hell? And I pulled the trigger. Now, it sat for a couple days because I was tired when I got home that night from work, and I wanted to have a day off to just really play with it and enjoy it. And so I charged it up through a couple of AA batteries, one in each controller, and I was just immediately blown away. I sat there probably for the better part of an hour with this headset on my face, and I found that even with the stock head strap that it comes with, the adjustments, right here on the back, they work really well. And it was probably easily 4 times as comfortable as the Quest 2 with the Pro strap. So I don't know who Meta was listening to when they were designing this thing. Maybe they heard some complaints about comfort with the standard strap on the 2. They knocked it out of the park with the 3, y'all. I can easily sit and play games for about 2 hours, which, here's the drawback of the 3. One of the honest complaints that I have and a lot of people have is the battery life was not the best. Now, there are settings you can turn down to where I think you can lower the refresh rate and you can lower the resolution a little bit. But why would you want to do that, right? Now, they do have other headsets on the market that you can get for it that have a built-in battery. And I'm thinking about trying one of those. Because even though I really find the MetaQuest 3 comfortable, even it, after a much lengthier period of time, starts to put a little pressure again on the bridge of the nose, which for me is super, it's not the most comfortable thing. And one day while I was playing with it, I said, what would happen if there was just a little bit of weight back there? So I just put my fingers back and pushed down just a hair. And I applied about as much force as I knew a backup battery would. Completely took the pressure off. So I'm looking forward to trying that. I've seen some, I don't know if I'm going to go with the official model because I think it's like $130. But Amazon is just loaded with third-party ones that are like around, $35 to $50. I think the one I'm looking at right now is $50. Most of the reviews on it are pretty positive. So with that sort of thing, if you want some extended gameplay, having that battery in the back that you can plug into, probably the way to go. Now, honestly, I can't see myself gaming in virtual reality for more than an hour and a half, 2 hours tops, like that I would actually want to. But that also correlates to just gaming in general. As much as I love gaming, I don't really have the time, and about 2 hours every now and again is about the most I'm going to get. I also did find, though, that the social aspects of the MetaQuest 3 seem to be greatly improved. A lot of the chatting apps and the more social apps I found, the lobbies were actually pretty loaded with people, and it's like any other online gaming thing, which again we've established I'm not a huge fan of, but it's kind of cool, if you're not actually gaming and what you want to do is just kind of move around a virtual world and talk to people. It's not bad for that. It's not bad at all. There are some sporting apps that I haven't tried out yet. I think the NBA, there are NBA games you can watch on there, and it gives you like a courtside view. I don't know yet if there's an NFL version available. I'm not a big basketball fan, but if there's an NFL version that will allow you kind of have a sideline view, that will blow my mind. Anyway, yes, all in all, MetaQuest 3, if you have the money for it, and your choice is between that and the 2, in terms of comfort and power and resolution. Oh, and I can't speak highly enough about the resolution, because another big complaint I had with the 2 was that screen door effect. Now, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, it's like you ever look at an old tube TV and you could see the individual pixels with like the red, green, blue, right? You would have that like right up against your face with the MetaQuest 2, and you could see the pixels. And while it wasn't like jarring or anything, it was noticeable. And the Quest 3, while it's not completely gone, it's so diminished. It is so diminished that it's almost not noticeable. Like, you have to really be looking for it to see it. And another thing I do love with the Quest 3 is that the field of view is much, much improved. I think I would like to see out of VR in the future, I'd like to see personally the headset start getting lighter and smaller and more powerful. But I'd love it if they could get the point of view or the field of view to where it included your peripherals. The Quest 3 almost hits it. Almost, not quite, but almost. But all in all, I think for the money, now if you're just like some rich guy that has more money than sense and you got $4,000 to go drop on an Apple Vision Pro, hey, you do you. Most of us don't live in that world, but I think if you want the best gaming experience, comparatively speaking, to the money that you're going to spend on it, you cannot go wrong with the MetaQuest 3. I cannot recommend it highly enough. I'm glad that I picked one up, and I look forward to having a whole lot of fun with it in the future. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. Please like and subscribe. I would love you forever if you did that. Just do it. Just do it. And as always, remember, pick your battles, because not every hill is worth dying on. Till next time, folks, take it easy.
Being strung out is not a game. So if you're thinking about using crack, don't do it.